Before we get to the Big Ten tournament, just coming off of Wednesday's game against Michigan State, it's a unique situation that I think is going to be talked about at the Big Ten spring meetings of having teams not play on the last weekend, and both ourselves and Michigan face that situation and how the buys are chosen. I look at it with the glass half full of, being able to come off a game that that we went on the road. We played really well in the first quarter. We got Kayla McMorris started. We're down 3 at halftime, and even in the fourth quarter or the third quarter, we're up 6. Marcia Howard's playing really, really well, and I think as you see throughout the Big Ten season, the ability to finish for us in a fourth quarter that we looked at and watched on film with the team of being better on the backboards. And when it's 14-3 on the glass in the fourth quarter, it's gonna be really hard to win a game, especially on the road. But I think we've been able to get our kids off their feet a little bit over this break. Be able to get back to some basics, get a lot of shots up, and hopefully physically and mentally, be ready for the Big Ten tournament and for the second year in a row playing a team that we will play now for the third time this year, with it being Rutgers last year and obviously Northwestern this year. To put our, I think when you get in the tournament, whether you've played a team once, twice, during the regular season, you're going to know each other really well. We played them, twice within 10 days. And again, Coach McEwen and I are really close from our shared time, not shared times, but both coaching at George Washington. So, they're coming off a great win against Rutgers at home yesterday, which they were really good on the backboard. So we definitely have our work cut out for us, and for us it's a one-game tournament right now, and that starts on 12:30 Central Time on Wednesday.
Take questions.
You mentioned the rebounding both Wednesday and then in both of your games against them. Down there when you lost, they really beat you on the boards, and even when you beat them, they had a pretty good advantage, and Akpana's very aggressive on there. What do you have to do to neutralize that, and has that been one of your focuses going into this game?
It was our focus, and I guess one of the benefits of not playing this weekend, we knew we would play Northwestern, shortly after the games were finished on Wednesday. I think a couple of things. I thought in our game, watching the films again, we had a plus advantage on a rebounding margin in the first half of the Northwestern game here in the Kohl Center. And again, I think one way is you've got to understand that it's got to be done by committee. It's not going to be one person being able to go head to head with PKA. And I think it's a mentality you have to be willing to have somebody give themselves up, so that she's not on the glass. And that person might not have a high rebounding total, but when we've been at our best rebounding-wise, it's been by committee. It's Kayla McMorris with 7 to 10. It's, Courtney Fredrickson with that same area. It's, Nia Beverly and Kendra in the 5 areas. And obviously Marcia and Abby inside have to rebound the ball at a high rate. And, I think they didn't just hurt us with – PKA, and obviously she had 20 rebounds yesterday in the game. She had 10 on the offensive glass. She's averaging over 13 a game in league play, but you've got to make sure then that somebody like an Abby Scheid doesn't end up with 8, or Abby Wolf off the bench doesn't end up with 7. And again, I think with both teams in a position where, again, it's the postseason. Every possession, that can be the determining factor. You saw it draining the energy out of Rutgers yesterday, and it was a 8-point game at halftime, but they already had 14 offensive rebounds at halftime. And again, what we've got to be able to do is we can't run to the rim. We don't have, our rebounding strength is not players who go rebound the ball out of their position, which is probably what PKA does better than anybody else in our league. She goes and gets it. She doesn't just wedge people out and use her strength. She's a great athlete. She has great instincts. She's kind of the Big Ten women's basketball version of Dennis Rodman. And again, I think we have to understand she's going to get some – we've got to put ourselves in a position, especially when she shoots it herself, that she can't get her own rebound. And that's where I thought the turning point in the Michigan State was with Jenna Allen, was getting her own rebound. So we've definitely put an emphasis on it since we've been back from East Lansing, and we'll continue to do so all the way up to game time.
And we've talked about Marcia a number of times, and I know she grew an inch in the program this year.
It's a good training table. It's good dietary things that we're able to provide.
Yeah. But she's battles. She's undersized in every matchup, and she seems to have emerged as one of the players around the conference that have kind of blossomed this season. What's it been for her that's made her a difference and make it a consistent difference?
I think she has a great, first and foremost, she has a really good basketball IQ. She sees what's going on the floor, maybe a pass ahead. I think what she's learned is even if she is undersized, how can she take that and make it an advantage for her? And I think you play against athletic post players, you play against strong physical post players in our league. And how can she counter that? And I think the ability for her to make a move while facing the basket, she does a great job, I think, of moving without the basketball when we have dribble penetration and put herself in good positions. And again, I think she's an improved shooter from the high post area. But the Michigan State game, I thought, she scored in transition. She had 7 offensive rebounds. She scored off penetration. She put the ball on the ground from the high post. I just think you've seen a maturity in her game that has allowed her to score the basketball in a lot of different ways. And I think the challenge then that we talk about is always making sure her emotional side is helping her take our team to another level, not taking away from her focus. And I love that part because she's got tremendous fight. But I think once you've been through this league, and really, again, I think in a lot of ways she's still a sophomore from the limited time that she plays as a freshman, that the understanding not only what we're trying to do offensively, but what teams are going to try to do against her being undersized, whether it's lean different people on her, try to body up on her. I think she's going to see some double teams in the Big Ten tournament, and how can she be able to be an effective player out of all those situations.
I know the season hasn't gone as you would have liked. In some cases, like you spoke about last week, you're better in some areas and maybe need to improve in others. How have you handled all this? You're used to winning, Jonathan,
Brian, I think I can always do a better job of not allowing where I think we should be impact on what we're trying to do with our team every single day. And to remain positive with our group, to give everything. I owe that to Kayla and Kendall Shaw, to be able to, again, help them in every way, continue to grow in this journey. Is it going to end up, obviously, not in a regular season Big Ten title or where we thought at the beginning of the year from the strides we made in the summer and the preseason? But you've got to be able to look and say where you're at this point in time, who you have with you, and how you can move forward with it. And I have to do a good job. I think my staff does a good job of allowing me to be able to put things on the table and give me suggestions. But I think that's the challenge as a coach. And I think Coach Card's done such a great job of not getting too high or too low throughout this season. I think that's one area where maybe our personalities are a little different. I'm a little bit more of an extrovert than Greg is, but I also want a team to play with that emotion. I think the best teams I've been a part of kind of emulate what their coach is like, and again, when things are going well, you want your team to play with great enthusiasm and energy, and I think our kids have competed. And at the end of the day, if you have a group out there that's doing that, you're going to move forward. We've just got to be able to take that and make sure our kids have that belief that they can finish things. And whether our season ends this week or not, it's still we're building towards something bigger than the next week and a half with our program, and that's including the kids that have made that decision to come be Badgers in the future, and they're going through this journey with us. They've been great, reaching out to our team. I think connecting with our coaching staff. 2 of our 5 that have signed are done with their senior years in basketball, and I had a chance to see one of our 5 play this past week, and they know, and they see the progression, and they still want to be a part of it, and that's a great, I think, way I think for our team and our staff to continue to have that confidence moving forward. It's not, you're right, Brian. It's not easy. It is, and it's, I think any coach who doesn't put probably more pressure on themselves to be better probably should find a different profession.
This may just be a 1-year thing, it sounds like, with the men's tournament on the same schedule as yours. That knocks the women's tournament off of regular TV. Is that how do you feel about that? And it costs a lot of exposure for your league.
Yeah, I think when you look at it and you're trying to compare to who you're recruiting against, and are the other leagues and teams in those leagues, they're not having that same issue. And these are obviously decisions that are made at a much higher level than myself. And I think we have to just continue to do what we've done all year as far as talking to the prospective student athletes and the coaches and the families of when we're on, and not shy away from that. It is obviously, I think, it's anytime you make decisions to move tournaments around, there's going to be pros and cons. And again, I think as a coach, we have to make sure we're still promoting women's basketball and the championship level that's going to be played in the next 2 weeks throughout, and maybe see the forest through the trees a little bit for our women's game and how we can put that on the best stage heading into the NCAA tournament. But as far as the Big Ten tournament, there's a lot at stake this week for our conference, and a conference that the RPI is higher than it's been in the last 5 years. I still think as of today we sit 3rd as far as RPI conference-wise, and there's a lot of teams that there's a lot on the line for the postseason. And I think we have to make sure that as our conference, as much as we want to do well and win games as Wisconsin, how important it is that we have teams not only putting themselves in position as they have all year to get to the conference or to get to the postseason in the NCAA tournament, but then be able to, once you get there, be able to do something. That helps us all. For me to be able to sit in a young woman's home with their family and say, this is what our conference does, this is where we expect to be playing, and being able to utilize my past experience, being at Notre Dame and George Washington of playing in the postseason, that's what we feel like the vision is for their daughter.
Melissa in the back.
Hi. Coach, I know that conference tournament-wise, it can be looked at as a clean slate almost. I think Brad Davison said yesterday, college basketball tournaments, you can look at it as like it's anyone's game now. Is that that a hard mentality to take for your girls coming into this Wednesday?
I don't think so. I think each year when you go in and you're building a program, one of the big goals last year was we didn't have anybody on that roster last year who had won a Big Ten tournament game. And understanding and coming, we had the quick turnaround. We played on Sunday at Iowa. We played Wednesday against Rutgers in Indianapolis. But I think you have to understand there is a clean slate. There's also, you're playing for something that, for us, there's an opportunity, as it was last year, that it was a split in the regular season with Northwestern as it was with Rutgers last year. It's a little bit of a tiebreaker when you're playing on a neutral site. And again, that's the only part of the bracket that I'm worried about right now is getting our team in the best position possible and having that excitement level. Last year it was in many ways not only the 6 freshmen we took in there, but Marsha Howard's first time playing in a Big Ten tournament game. This year, hopefully, with the experience that we have of being there and just adding Nia Beverly and having our team get her ready as well as our staff to be able to say we've been here, we understand this turnaround right now. Plus, we've had an opportunity to kind of, in a sense, have the bye week to get ready for this game on Wednesday. So I'm excited. I think our kids are excited. You saw a great level of competition on Friday and Saturday in practices, getting ready. And again, you want to be going and playing good basketball, obviously, at the end, at the progression of your team, and trying to build what we've done. I know it hasn't been wins over the last few weeks, but trying to show them the positive things that we are doing to be able to take into Wednesday and put our best foot forward.